Windows machine. Okay, I have started the recording. All right, so as usual, I start with Net Discover, and just to find out what are the hosts on my network. Now, just keep one thing in mind when you download this Windows machine. The RAM assigned to that virtual machine is 1.2 GB, which is not enough. So you will face issues with that. So if you can spare like 4 GB for that machine, that would be great. Okay. So I have found out my target, which is 192.168.1.152, right? Now, before I go there, I just want to let you know that for enumeration, there are different tools that can be used for enumeration. Like, for example, there's a tool called SMB client. There's a tool called RPC client. There's a tool called forgot the name. There are many tools that you can use. So if you go to that link in, today's lab, that is enumeration, which was last week. If you go there, you will find list of the tools that can be used for enumeration. Now, what is enumeration? I think you might have gone through it, but if not, basically, when you start the penetration testing, you start with the reconnaissance phase, and then after the reconnaissance, you do scanning with tools like Nmap. After scanning, we jump directly to the exploitation, vulnerability scanning. But still, we need to do enumeration as well, because enumeration gives a little bit more detail about the machine, if how you can exploit it. So, so Nmap also provides this uh, enumeration, techniques or scripts, you can say, that can be used for enumeration. So for today, I will just introduce one or two tools, including Nmap, that you can use for the enumeration. So it's a Windows machine. You can do SMB enumeration, which is actually mentioned in the lab that you have to do SMB enumeration. You can read about the SMB. It's a server message block protocol, which is actually used by the Windows for file shares on the network. If there is something that is being shared on the network using the SMB protocol, then it's probably vulnerable and can be exploited easily. So first of all, we need to find out the scripts that we have in the Nmap. So I think it's use ls-minus/user/share/nmap/scripts. Sorry, I think just had to. So ls-myself/user/share/nmap/scripts, and within scripts you can have a lot of scripts actually. So we are looking for SMB, and we can just put a static in the end to list the scripts that Nmap has for SMB enumeration. There's a whole bunch of scripts, and it really depends on what you are trying to do with these scripts. So for instance, there's an SMB OS discovery NSC. Sometimes when you run the Nmap scan by using Nmap -o, it sometimes doesn't give the proper operating system. It gives like 3-4 operating systems that are that are there. So maybe you want to get a more specific information about the operating system to know which operating system is running on the target machine, right? So you can use, if it's a Windows operating system, you can use SMB. OS discovery script that will actually give you uh, probably more exact information um, about the operating system. And another thing that we want to do is that, first of all, I will just run minus s v 168.1.156. So that's my target. So I want to know the versions and the services which are running. So let it run on the in one of the terminals, and I will run the script that I'm talking about. That so I'm using. So you don't need to give the path. You can give the path if you like, but if you write hyphen script, it actually will run the script that you pointed to. So I'm using the script which is the OS discovery script I just showed you somewhere here. Yeah, so you can see here, this is the script that I'm using, and the target system that I have is 192.168.1.156. All right, so when you run this script, it actually enumerates the operating system that is running on the target system. And here you can see the operating system is Windows Server 2008 R2 Service Pack 1. So this information is really important when you are trying to exploit a virtual machine, right? Oh, sorry, trying to exploit a target. If you see here, it also gives you the computer name itself. It's Vagrant 2008 sorry, R2. It also gives the NetBIOS name, which you can see here, and also it gives you the work group, that it is a member of the work group, right? So if it was a domain computer, probably it will show you here that it's a member of some domain. And again, it's very important information when you are doing, you are trying to exploit an operating system, right? Okay. So this is one script that I just showed you. There are other scripts as well. Let me see. So if you see this particular script, for example, it enumerates the shares. By shares mean like if there are any files or folders which are shared on that system, then you can use this script. I will just copy this one and go back here, and then I will use the SMB enumerate dash shares. Now, if you look at this, it basically it doesn't actually give you whether you can access, but you can see here. Actually, it was not there. I deliberately shared. So the computer that the machine that the target machine that you will have, it doesn't really have anything on the network to share. But you can see here that when I shared this folder, it actually lists down that there is a folder shared which is there. It doesn't actually allow, the Windows doesn't allow the access, and it says that the access is denied, but at least you can find out that there is something that is shared on that computer, right? So if there are files and folders that have that are being shared, and then the permissions are there to read or write, or if you give full control, it will display here as well what kind of access you can have, whether you have a read access or write access, or you have the full control on this, right? So all right, so I just enumerated this. Sorry, I just scanned these ports because we're going to use one of them, which is I think 4848, which is an Oracle Goldfish application running on the target machine, that we are going to exploit it in a different way by using an auxiliary scanner. Okay. Another script, if uh, have you guys completed the Eternal Blue Lab or no? If you see here MS17010, this is basically a vulnerability scanning script in order to find out that whether the target machine is vulnerable to Eternal Blue or not, and then you can go ahead and try to exploit it. So I'm going to run this script to find out if the target machine is vulnerable or not. Okay, so there's an error.
There is an S you missed.
Yeah, SMB 1-MS17. Okay. So if the target Windows machine is vulnerable to Eternal Blue exploit, you can find it here. And it says that this particular machine is vulnerable, and it gives the description that it has the remote code execution vulnerability using SMB version 1. Yeah, another interesting, yeah, so this is one thing that you have to keep in mind, that, if you want to find out a certain vulnerability, you can use that particular script to find out. Another thing is that you want to find out the SMB version, although I have when I ran this script, it already gives me that there's an SMB version on which is running on this and it's vulnerable. However, there's a script here as well that tells you the SMB version. SMB, yeah, so this is the one which is smb-protocols.nc. So I'm going to use this script to enumerate the SMB version. So let me just replace this one. Okay. So if you see here, it actually tells you that it is an NTLM version 0.12 SMB version 1, which is dangerous because this is a vulnerable version of SMB. Do a little bit more research on the other SMB versions as well and see whether they are vulnerable or not. Okay, SMB version 2, 3, and so on. All right, so this is more or less about the Nmap SMB enumeration. There are other tools as well, but those tools, they require sometimes the username and passwords. Okay, and for that purpose, it is mentioned on the platform as well that you can use. I'm just going to type it here. Username Vagrant and password Vagrant. Okay, so if some SMB tool, SMB scanner, or some other enumeration tool, it requires you to give the username and password, you can use these username and password. Now, it may seem like illogical that, if we have the username and password for the target machine, then why are we enumerating? Well, there are different scenarios, in some cases, the attackers, they obtain the username and passwords. Username is not hard to find out, but the password through social engineering. And then obviously, there might be sometimes that you don't have a physical access to the machine and you cannot log in. So you may want to run by guessing or by using those username and passwords to enumerate more details about the operating system and try to exploit it, because you may not be able to access it remotely as well, because maybe the remote desktop application is remote desktop is not running on that system. Okay, so there sometimes, there are certain assumptions in the attack. So for this particular, like I said, even if you have the username and password, maybe you don't have the physical access to the machine and you want to find out how you can access that operating system. Makes sense, guys? Okay. So let me just find out if I can use another tool, which is it's called the SMB client. Okay, so SMB client minus L minus U is the vagrant. Connection failed. So as you can see, this particular um, enumeration tool, it requires you to give the password for the vagrant. So you can use the password vagrant. Okay, so here you can see the users, admin, sorry, the share admin, and it says it's a remote admin. These are the folders that were shared by me, especially this one, share me. And I just wrote the comment says ABC. So again, you are able to find out if there are any shares, and then you may try to access the share. If it doesn't have a username and password on the share, then it's a big vulnerability. And most of the times I've seen that people, they share their folders with others on the network, and you may find your way into those folders without even providing a username or password. um, and it's very, very dangerous. Okay, what else? Let me run the NetBIOS scanner, NBT scan, and today I'm using VirtualBox, by the way. I had a serious problem. NBT scan 192.168.1.156. So this is the NetBIOS. I mean, it's just the information that we already found, the name of the system by using one of the scripts in the Nmap. But again, there's another tool also that can give you the name of the computer. Yeah. So NetBIOS minus R, and then you give the target machine. It actually gives you the NetBIOS name of the system and the MAC address. Okay. What else? There's another tool called RPC client. So RPC client hyphen user. Let's just put it vagrant. Okay, let's see. Maybe I don't need to put the double quotes. So this is to enumerate the privileges, but it's somehow not working. Okay. I think there's something I'm missing in this, but you can look into it. Just Google. Maybe I need to provide a password. I'm not sure. But RPC is actually a remote procedure call. So I think it uses port number 137, which is again also kind of a dangerous thing. Let's see if RPC is running. Yeah, so it's port number 135, remote Microsoft remote procedure call, and you will find this port in most of the systems open. So this port can also be used for the enumeration, right? Now for the enumeration lab, you just have to use the scripts that I just showed you, the nmap scripts. You can use the NetBIOS NBT scanner. You can also use the SMB client, and then there is a whole list of other tools that is provided there on for the enumeration purpose. Now, one more thing I want to do is that I will use another scanner, uh, MSF console. So let me try to use auxiliary scanner to also show you that you can do SMB enumeration using auxiliary scanner as well. So let's give it some time to boot. I have all these commands written with me, so I'm just going to, once I finish my demonstration, I will share these commands with you so that you can start working right away. Okay. Use auxiliary scanner SMB. So you have the SMB scanners in the auxiliary modules as well. So you can see here there are different scanners. I don't know all of them, but there's an SMB version scanner. There is um, Eternal Blue scanner. There's an SMB login scanner. SMB enumerate users in the domain if it's a domain system. So lots of SMB scanners or enumeration. Uh, I would say exploits are there. Not exactly an exploit because it's a scanner. So let me use auxiliary module. Sorry. So let me use one of them again. SMB underscore version. And if I show options, you just have to set the R host here, which is set R host 192.168.1.156, and then run or exploit both will work. You can use you can modify the number of threads to 5 or 10 or 50. It's up to you. So let's see. I think the number of threads, if I increase it, will probably make it faster. Okay, that's funny. Didn't really show me. Is my machine alive? 192.168.1.156. Oh, destination host unreachable. All right, that's why. Let me just boot my machine. I think it shut down. Okay. My machine was off. I mean, it was just shut down due to some issue. I don't know what happened. You can try to run this machine in the VMware as well, but I was having a weird kind of problem. That's why I shifted to VirtualBox today. Let's see if it is reachable again. Now it's reachable. Let's run the auxiliary scanner module again. Preferred dialect signature optional. Maybe it's still not completely powered on because it's a heavy operating system. Let me set the threads to 10. Let's give it a bit more time to load everything. Because I tested it and should be working. Okay. Yeah. So now I think it started working. So as you can see, version 1 has been detected. And the same kind of information that you saw in the Nmap SMB enumeration script as well. All right. Back. Let me try to use, I know it won't allow me to find out the users, but I can try auxiliary scanners SMB underscore enumerate users. Okay. Show options. Set our host. Mm, 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 mm. No, set SMB user vagrant exploit. So it does require at least that you have access to one user in order to enumerate the other users. So as you can see now that it has enumerated a list of users, the administrator, Anakin Skywalker, this is another user, another user, another user, all these users that you can see. So even if you have a basic access to a normal user, and if not the administrator, you can use the this scanner to find out what other users exist on that. Clear, guys? So far, so good. So what you will do in the SMB enumeration is that you will submit lab and that you will submit all these enumeration tools that I just went through. Nmap, SMB client, auxiliary scanner, and RPC also you can try it. I will share with you the commands. Another thing, if you remember, I told you guys once, I think when we were doing the exploitation lab, that there is also an auxiliary scanner that can try to scan the ports. Sometimes the ports are blocked by the firewall, or even with some antivirus, the ports scanning is blocked if you are using Nmap, but auxiliary scanner is a bit more stealthy. So you can use Nmap instead of Nmap, you can use an auxiliary scanner to scan if the ports are open on the target system or not. So let me show you that as well today, since we are working with the auxiliary scanner. So if you go to use auxiliary scan and then port scan, with port scan, you can see that you have different options in the port scan. You have an ACK scan, which sends the acknowledgement packets. You have the SYN scan, which sends the synchronization packet. You have an XMath scan, which basically It's kind of a stealthy scan. There's an FTP bounce. There's a TCP scan. So whichever you want to use, I'm going to use the SYN scan, SYN scan, not SIN. It's SYN. Okay. And if you look at the show options, what do I need to configure? I need to give at least the R host. I will increase the number of threads so that it will probably speed up the process. So set R hosts is equal to 192.168.1.156. And then set the threads to, oops, threads to, let's make it 50. And then exploit. Let's see how the auxiliary scanner works for the port scanning. Okay, it's taking time. Let's just see if it, and by the way, if you see the number of ports that it's scanning, it's 1 to 10,000. Okay, so you can change it if you are interested in scanning all the ports, or you can reduce it to the ports that you want to scan. Wow, it's taking longer than I expected. Okay, let it run, and I'll move to the next lab. I hope I have the window still with me where I ran the nmap scan. Yeah, so for the first lab for today, that was the vulnerability scanning. It is mentioned as vulnerability scanning, but it's actually like exploitation lab, I would say. Or so in that, if you see here that it's running on port 4848, it's running an Oracle GlassFish. So I'm going to use an auxiliary scanner and try to get the password for this particular application. First of all, I just want to access this and see that we do have a login page. So 192.168.1.156, and the port is 844848, I think, right? 4848. Okay, it's not a secure page, so accept the risk. Wow, it's really, really bad. This scanner. I don't know. Should have left the threads to 1 maybe. Okay, so you can see here that we have a login page here for this application, whatever it is. So what I'm going to use is, let me stop this scan. I will come back to it later. So you have a script called auxiliary. No, I need to search because I don't remember. So search, so GlassFish. If you search for the GlassFish, you have an auxiliary scanner, which is basically tries to find out the password for this particular login for GlassFish application. Let's try to copy that, and we will use this auxiliary scanner and then show options. There are a lot of options here, but you don't need to go through all of them. So one of the important thing is R hosts in Metasploit. So I set R host 192.168.1.156, right? And then set pass file. So basically it's the password file is also given there on the platform. You can download it and put it in Kali Linux. Then you have to give the path of that password file, for which I have this path. And then I will also use and set this option, which is stop on success. Means you find out the password, you can stop. Otherwise, it will keep going through the whole file of the passwords, right? So you don't need to do that. I'm just doing it so that it stops when it finds the password. So set stop on success true. If I write show options again, just want to verify that the pass file pass is given here. The R host is there. It's true. And you can see that our port is by default 4848 because this GlassFish is running on port 4848. All I need to do is now run this particular auxiliary module, and if you see here, it uses the admin as the default. If you don't know the username, you can have a username file fed to this auxiliary module, and then it starts going through that username as well. So for each user, it will try all the passwords, or move on to the next user and then tries the password. So it will take more longer, but since we are doing it as a demonstration purpose, so just need to keep it simple. And if you see here, after it found the password, it stopped and it says success. So the username is admin, the password is exploit. So the username is admin, the password is exploit. Don't save. To see if it actually successfully found the password. So for you, it may take a bit more longer because the file that they have is too big. While this is happening, I will just go back, try to use the auxiliary scanner for port scan TCPs. Let me use TCP this time. Wow, this worked fast. So I've changed the auxiliary scanner, and I actually tested it on a real penetration testing network, that while my nmap was being blocked when I was trying it on target, when I used the the auxiliary scanner, it immediately gave me, so it was not blocked. That's why I'm telling you that if sometimes nmap is not working, you can use this auxiliary module to scan the ports, and as you can see that it has found all the ports which are open. Although it is not giving you the services which are running, but again, this is good enough information to find out if a certain port is running or open or not. And as you can see, we have logged in into the GlassFish application or portal as well. Uh, so this is your lab for today. An additional thing that I'm giving you as an extra task is that, okay, it's kind of a hint and you have to figure out on your own. So you will use the same auxiliary scanner that I just used, which is the GlassFish scanner. However, what I want from you is that after running this scanner and finding out the password, I want you to exploit this Windows machine um, and get a reverse meterpreter session. Okay, so I will repeat it again. This is an extra task, but not extra actually. It's part of the lab. So what I want from you is that once you're done with this and you got the password, now I want you to gain a meterpreter session access, because right now I have access to the system as basically into a portal, into an application which is running on the target system. But what I want is a meterpreter session, which means I want full control of the operating system itself. That you will be doing today. Okay, with this, I have completed my demo. If you have any questions, please ask me now. Just go through your chat if there is.
I said.
Yes, please.
So we will do the last task like we have done before in Ubuntu.
No, this is a Windows machine, the target
Yeah,
Windows.
I know, but the last the
The
reverse
link that,
thing.
yeah, so the
Yeah,
link that I shared, it had two operating system. Ubuntu, you are done. You will not boot
yeah,
that
yeah.
Ubuntu again.
No, I mean, what I mean actually is the procedure, the reverse TCP. Is it the same like the before in Ubuntu,
Well, it's
or
kind
is
of
they
same,
different?
but again a bit different. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
because in Ubuntu you do the remote exploit and it gives you the session meterpreter session directly. In Windows, it doesn't work like this. So you,
Mm,
okay, the hint is you may have to upload a file there. Okay.
okay.
But not like a copy paste or something,
Mm,
or make an exe file and then move it by using the USB, not like us. No,
okay,
Maha, now you guys are in almost by the end of the cohort, so I will not like show everything to you. So first of all, you complete these labs and try it. Okay.
okay. Thank you, Asad.
Thank you guys. I will create the rooms for you guys, or maybe Miss Abir is here. Uh, let me stop the share. Okay, let me create. So sorry, I need to stop the recording.